Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez.
And I'm Fox.
Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
It's been a long couple of weeks for me. I have been super duper sick. I am over the sickness, but still clearing up, so I may still be coughing, but...
I'm still in the sickness.
Yeah, Fox,
I'm
I
still
noticed
down
you-
with the sickness.
Come on, get up.
Get down with the sickness.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I feel okay right now, but...
Yeah, I saw you dropping, like, Alka-Seltzer or something into
No,
your
that was
water.
acid.
I was just literal acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I'm on medicine, and I'm feeling okay right now.
That's good.
Should be
That's
good. But
good.
also there might be coughing / sniffling / sneezing.
This may not be the most audio pleasing.
Oh, good. You literally made yourself cough.
Literally made it happen.
Anyway, Dez, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you say that you are cop first or orc first? It's a serious question. Please stop laughing, because I need to know right now. I'm Will Smith.
I'm Will Smith. I need to
Welcome
know
to
if you got my back. We just watched the preview for Bright.
Yeah.
Which is a Netflix movie that's going to be coming out, and it looks bad.
It looks so bad.
It looks real bad.
It
guys.
looks like a... It actually looks like a so bad it's funny type thing.
Right.
Like an unintentionally funny...
The unintentional comedy.
Which is actually... makes me want to watch it.
I know, right? Just so we can laugh.
Yeah, so...
We should laugh and then review it.
we should. Look up the preview for Bright on Netflix.
Yeah,
and then laugh with us.
It's a low fantasy,
Yes.
but the highest of low fantasies.
Right.
So, like, Will Smith is a cop, but his partner is the first orc cop ever, and, like, his captain is an elf, and it looks ridiculous.
Why orcs always got to be the bad guys?
That's an
That's
actual
a literal
quote, guys.
word.
Like, this whole,
phrase.
like, high-low fantasy thing is something I've seen before, and I think it could be done really well. I think it'd be really cool. This is not that. It is the most cliche, like, buddy cop type movie, except not, like, comedy buddy cop, like, action buddy
like
cop.
taking itself too seriously.
It is taking itself way
Based
too
on the trailer,
seriously.
at least. There might be more jokes. And Will Smith is being, like, quippy bad boys Will Smith. That's who he is.
He's
He's
absolutely
Will Smith
bad
from
boys
Bad
Will Smith.
Boys. But it looks bad.
Yep.
Swing and a miss, Netflix.
Yeah. Good effort,
Yep.
guys.
Or not. I don't know. We'll find out.
It was real bad.
Because I'll probably watch that since I have Netflix.
I want to. We gotta watch it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Do that. Fox, how is Mordor going? Are you excited for Odyssey this weekend?
Wardor.
Oh,
Thank
Mordor.
you.
Right.
Wardor is Wardor.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well call it Mordor. It's essentially the same, with a little bit extra in there.
Yeah, but Odyssey's coming out.
Odyssey's coming out on Friday.
Yeah.
And for you guys, a couple days ago, or maybe a week ago, depending on when this one gets
this goes
posted.
up.
Probably a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak for myself on Monday when you're hearing this. It's the greatest game I've ever made.
Oh,
That's
see,
not true.
No. Here's what I think Fox is going to say. He's going to love it for a while and then be like, it's essentially the same thing, though. Like, it's what Mario has always been.
No,
And
okay.
You're going to say that. You're
Look.
going to say that.
I have played. We went to PAX,
Yes,
and
we
on
did.
day 4, I played 10. It was a 10-minute demo, 15-minute demo, whatever.
Right.
I wanted to get back in line and do nothing else. I wanted to play it over and over again. And here's the difference between, Nintendo doing the same thing versus Shadow of War being the same as Shadow of Mordor. Like, did you play Galaxy?
No.
Super Mario Galaxy?
I did not.
That's the most recent, like, big mainline Super Mario game I've played.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. But it was essentially Mario 64.
Right.
Did you play,
Although arguably Mario 64 is one of the greatest games ever made.
It is. They do it in a way that's fresh and updated and feels like you're doing something new even though you're not really.
Right.
Whereas War doesn't feel that way. It's essentially the same. Like, all the move sets are the same.
Yeah.
I'm just taking
Well,
over
and
things like I did
Although
before.
Shadow of Mordor was a very good game,
Right.
it is far from one of the greatest games ever
Right,
made.
and it's taking things from other games and doing them its own way, kind of.
Yeah.
And just now it's just doing it again. So if that original game wasn't like fresh and unique, then doing that, even if it's good, doing that game again is not going to be as fun as it was.
Right.
Because Super Mario 64 back then was like, this game's incredible, like 3D platformer type thing. So doing that over and over again, better each time, you could say.
Some new things plugged in.
Is going to make it feel like a better experience each time.
Especially when it's like 8 years in between each game.
That's true. They do put some time. It's only been 3 years since Mordor came out.
Right.
Standard cycle.
Let me ask you this. If Sony had made Super Mario Odyssey, how do you think it would have come out?
How do I think it would have come
Yeah,
out?
how do you
Like,
think
what
the
would
game
the game look like?
what would the game
Would
look
there
like?
be like a
Super Mario Odyssey brought to you by Sony.
it'd be like a dark blue filter over everything. It would be like Mario would have like a gun.
Yes.
I'd play it. I mean, he has a gun in a Mario vs. Rabbids.
Mario
XCOM clone.
Mario would be like this grizzled, aged, world-weary plumber.
Right.
That's seen too much.
That'd be exactly what it is. And you could buy loot boxes with coins in them.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy them with coins for random like costumes and stuff.
Stars would be a drug that you take.
Yeah, exactly.
I only ask this, Fox, because it just so happens that Sony is now making games for the Nintendo Switch.
But yes, I saw that. We should probably disclaim before we get into this because we want to talk about cross-platform
Cooperation
stuff.
Yeah.
Cooperation. Sony is making a game for the Switch, but not really.
Yeah, I mean
they are,
yes,
but it's
they really are. But also
they are producing
really
a game
aren't.
under their music label,
Yeah.
which
Unties,
yeah, or unties or
Unties, or whatever it is.
however you say it.
It's UNTIES. That spells unties in English, but it's a Japanese
company
label company, so we don't know how they pronounce it in Japan.
Right.
It's Unties though, so we will be referring it to it as Unties.
Yep, unties.
Oh no, it is Unties because look at their logo. It's a knot that has been untied. We found it out, guys. We solved the Unties puzzle.
You hear it live. No, you don't hear it.
No, it's not live.
Couple of days,
5 days later.
Yeah, whatever.
You found it out here.
Anyway,
we solved their
the riddle
on the
They're
level
master
2.
puzzlers. Anyway, they're making a game called Tiny Metal, which looks
It's
whole
about
lot.
very small people in Metallica.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
No.
It looks a whole lot like Advance Wars. If you ever played Advance Wars, it's essentially a tactics strategy game.
Right.
I played a lot of Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance. That was really fun. This looks like that. And we're not really going to talk about the game itself because there's just a trailer out and it looks like whatever anyway.
Yeah, it looks like a fun game.
We want to talk about the idea of platforms working together and game companies working together to produce things together. Because that doesn't happen very much anymore.
Right. So here's kind of what's going on here. Both the long and the short story of it. The long story is that for those of you guys who may be younger gamers, you may not really know the history of how gaming really began and the exclusivity of it. Because exclusivity is becoming less and less a common thing these days. Where
That's true, yeah.
third-party developers are like, look, I want to make as much money as possible. We're not
Right.
going to do exclusivity and things like that. But for a long time, it was what games you got on one system did not exist on any other system.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't really until PlayStation 2 and
You had a lot on the PlayStation 1.
but there was a lot of games on the PlayStation 1, but there were some, but not many, that you could play on the N64 at the time.
Right.
And same thing with there were some games that were for the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, but a lot of times there would be the Super Nintendo version and the Sega Genesis version.
Yeah.
And they'd be entirely different games.
Or even slightly different things.
Right.
Like
they'd be like the Batman Returns game.
Right.
But different games for each system.
Sure.
It probably wasn't until the PlayStation 2 and Xbox era that you started seeing games coming out on both systems. Like, hey, this here is a game that exists on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Xbox, and they exist exactly the same.
Right.
Once that began, it began an exclusivity thing where anything that you made for your system was only on your system and nothing else happened. So third parties could come out and they had to make it for everything. Third parties would come in and they'd say, we want everybody to make money. So anything that you made personally,
Right.
anything that Nintendo made, they only made it for Nintendo and nothing else because they wanted to keep the money they were making. That wasn't an issue before because everything was console exclusive.
Sure.
But now you had to be very attentive to what you're making for yourself, and you only make it for yourself. In fact, I think Final Fantasy 13 was the very first Final Fantasy game since 7 to come out for anything but Sony. And before that,
That's correct. Yes.
Final Fantasy 1 through 6 were only for Nintendo.
Yep.
And so it was just this
And
exclusivity
when they
thing.
announced that 13 was going to be on the Xbox 360, that blew my mind.
Yeah, it was
And
incredible.
I was very happy because I had a 360.
So,
And then I got the game and I was not very happy.
yeah. So for the most recent generation of gamers, the ones who've just been gaming for like the past 10 years, you probably only really know that first-party software only exists for their first-party console. So this is a really crazy crossing of that boundary.
Right.
Sony's music label organization,
Whatever this is.
Unties, is developing a game called Tiny Metal for the Nintendo Switch. Now, it will also be coming out for PlayStation 4 and PC. And this is all, by the way, this is a Polygon article that we're reading right now. But it's coming out for the Switch. And that's incredible.
It is, and it does. It seems like a smaller. To me, it seems like not that big of a deal because I've started playing video games. I mean, for real, with the N64, and I don't know. Like to me, it's just like okay, it's just a company. But yeah, but because I've been playing for longer than the console wars have been a thing. I don't know. It seems like it's not as big a deal to me as it is to you, though.
Yes, because first-party things have always exclusively been first-party. Third-party stuff going cross-platform, sure, whatever. But if Sony's going to make a game, I've said so many times, here's a game, man, it would have been great on the Nintendo Wii. This is a Wii game. They kind of tried to hammer in the motion controls for the PlayStation Move. This is a Wii game. It should have been great on this system. Or, man, just the way this controls, I wish it wasn't on the Wii. That was actually pretty common, Wii or Wii U. Like, the motion controls are garbage. I wish they had just made this game for the 360 or the PlayStation. And there's just this whole idea where, look, this game is great, but it would work better on a separate console. But that's never going to happen. The consoles will never, ever, ever support each other. They'll never do anything for each other. But now here we see Unties, a Sony company, making not Advance Wars.
It's essentially making Tiny Metal.
Tiny Metal for, and it's going to come out for the Switch. That's amazing. Now, this is the most recent large step on a slow trend that has been cross-platform cooperation. And that's things like, up until recently, if you were to play an online game for the PlayStation, you could not play that identical online game with your friends if they had an Xbox. If it was Ghost Recon or Call of Duty and you wanted to play online, your Call of Duty online games could only be played with the console that you own. And if they owned an Xbox and you owned a PlayStation, you could not game with your friends. These days, we're seeing less of that. It's still the most common way. But at the same time, we're seeing some more cross-platform cooperation. And there's a give and a take to it. There really is a give and a take to it. Fox, what do you think about cross-platform cooperation? Is this something that you think is going to be a good thing? Is this going to hurt the gaming industry? Companies trying to work together, how do you think that will impact gaming?
Maybe as far as, like, financially, I understand a company wanting to make a game, and this is our game.
Right.
This is the game. So if you want to play this game, you have to buy our stuff. Think of like, would Microsoft have an Xbox One, have even had an Xbox 360 if Halo was not an Xbox exclusive?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
People would have bought a PS3 or a PS2.
PS2, yeah.
And played it on there because they already, knew PlayStation and trusted PlayStation. And it would have been, the same game, just on a different system. It would have been fine. And they wouldn't have had the major success. That game basically created the modern FPS landscape as it is now, to, for better or for worse.
Obviously, FPS have been around for forever.
Well, 100%, yeah. But that changed it up a whole lot.
Redefined it.
Yeah. Right, absolutely. So I could see it being detrimental to the gaming industry as far as it is a business.
Right.
But in my opinion, the only people who should want platform exclusivity are the higher ups, the suits, the people looking at the bottom line, because they're the only ones who benefit from it. People who own the systems and play the games and the consumers don't at all. They should want every game available to everybody. Because, as always, I look at it as more of art. Like an art, it's like wanting only this region to be able to see this movie. No, nobody else gets to. I want this to be an America-only movie.
Right.
But why? Why? What's the point of that? Like, what? And you start getting, brand loyalty, which is strange, like the whole Xbox versus PlayStation thing. Like,
which, spoiler alert, Fox and I are Sony guys.
Because we own PlayStations. I literally bought a PS4 because of the exclusives. Not because I think a PS4 is better not because I think Sony is better and I want to support Sony.
They are.
Okay. All right. But because they had exclusives that I wanted to play. Literally just to be able to access the games I wanted, I bought a certain system.
Right.
It's kind of like a self-defeating argument, really. Like, a circular argument. Like, oh, you shouldn't have this, but I did buy it for this reason. I see this tiny metal step of Sony making a game for the Switch as a pretty awesome thing. It's an artistic industry. It's both of those things, and I see the artistic side of it should come first. So if Sony has this idea, or some guy in the Sony somewhere in the hierarchy came up with this little game called Tiny Metal, they're like, you know what? We want to make this game, but it actually seems more like a game that would thrive better on this system. We could take it, or we already have games like this on our whatever, online,
right,
on our marketplace, but the Switch doesn't. We could get that. We could, even if you're coming from a financial standpoint, Sony's like, we're actually getting into another market now.
Yeah.
People who only have a Switch can give us money still. So I see it as nothing but a positive.
I have mixed feelings about it.
Really?
Yeah. There is a give and take to it. You're right. Everything you said is right. I'm not going to disagree.
Well, I mean, that's always true. Literally everything I say is right.
I'm trying to think of like a very like distinct thing that like, oh really? Then what about this time? But I got nothing. So,
that's right.
So it's true. Yeah,
that's right.
Fox is 100%
accurate.
Right,
if you can't
100%
remember
of the time.
something, then
That
it
is.
means it doesn't exist.
You guys heard it on what day will it be?
Monday,
October 30th, I believe.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yep. So
Never
you guys
been
heard
wrong.
it then. Anyway, I'm going to laugh. This is actually like October 29th or something. And you said, yep, that's what it is. And you were wrong as we're saying that you're never wrong. Anyway, so yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. First of all, you're right. Getting the art on the best medium for it is great. If somebody tried to paint music, it's not going to really convey it that well. Like, there is the right medium for the right art. And as I had already stated, there are times that I wish that games were on a different console because in my opinion, and in common opinion, that was the wrong medium for that art. And so to best convey these games in a way that they can be best experienced and most enjoyed and even make the most money off of it, that's cool. That's really cool. Here's the problem though. When you have, especially between Microsoft and Sony, when you have something else that you know, so let's pretend I'm Sony, you're Microsoft, I know that we're competing. I know for a fact that you and I are competing. What am I going to do that's going to make people want to buy my system over yours? Now, we can talk about hardware for a long time. People do talk about hardware, but your hardware can be fantastic. You can be the greatest hardware. Sony has had better hardware almost every single system, but the hardware, that's not important.
Yeah,
the software is important.
Right,
the software
100%.
is what made the 360's launch so much better than the PlayStation 3's launch. The hardware, the launch hardware for the Microsoft Xbox 360 was garbage. 30% of them failed. 30% of them
They knew that
failed.
Going in.
3 out
That
of
would
10.
be a thing.
3 out of 10 of them. I went through 4 Xbox 360s, but they sold more systems because their software was better.
Yeah.
So we have to focus on the software here. And I, as Sony, I have to think to myself, what am I going to do? What can I do to make sure that my console is purchased? I can make the best software possible. And at that point, I begin committing hundreds of millions of dollars to The Last of Us, God of War, Halo, Gears of War. I don't think games would have been made this good without console exclusivity. I think that they would have been like, look, we need to make games, stuff that's going to be real good, or they're going to be great. We're going to try real hard to make them. But as soon as they're real good and we really like them, we'll ship them because they're going to be out on every console anyway. You're going to get it on the PlayStation 4. You're going to get it on the Xbox One. You're going to get it on the Switch. Everybody's going to get the same software. They have no reason to commit all of their funding to these games. I don't think we would have hundreds of $1 million made games without console exclusivity. Now, I kind of like where this is going. I like that it's a very small Sony side label. It's unties, you know.
Which, to be clear, they're doing that very strategically
Right.
to be able to say, yeah, it was just kind of if it fails miserably or whatever, if like they'll just be able to say, yeah, it was just kind of a side project. Don't worry about it. Look at this game we got for the PS4.
Right.
Buy the PS4 Pro.
And so, yes, obviously, it's so they can sell more systems. But the desire to sell systems, the desire to quote-unquote win, is what makes games, console exclusive games, great. I mean, let's look at this specifically. We even already talked about this. And I'm not blaming console exclusivity on this, but I'm guaranteeing you it had something to do with it. The Final Fantasy games. Every single numbered Final Fantasy game that was a console exclusive was fantastic. Every single Final Fantasy game that was not a console exclusive, at best. Now again, I'm not saying that's exclusively the reason why, but I guarantee you Sony threw more money at Square Enix because they wanted that console exclusive game to be great. They wanted it to be phenomenal. But once Square Enix said, you know what, we're going to go to Microsoft too, Sony said, well then why the crap am I going to dedicate this much money to you? Why in the world would I pay this much if you're going to get just as much from Microsoft?
Okay, I see your point there. I understand, like, competition breeds creativity.
Absolutely,
You want to
it does.
have the next brightest, biggest, best thing, which can mean, you know, we have the greatest hardware, but also if people want to play good games, the good stories, and we got to come up with those too. So I understand your point. That makes sense to me. And like I said, it's an artistic industry.
Right.
So yeah, you have to recognize that both of those things in there. Personally, art should come first. What would happen if the next system in a couple of years they actually came out with the Playbox one or something like the X Station? It was like the like What if Sony and Microsoft said, we're going to combine forces because, yeah, we could compete with each other, or we can combine our forces, create one great system, and now everything we're creating has all of the industry's best and brightest behind it, and we can put all of our resources into everything that we make. They're still competing with Nintendo in a sense, or there could be internal competition between, like, development companies. Like,
right.
We want Naughty Dog to make this game because Naughty Dog's really good at character development, whereas Activision should make this because they've made multiplayer games a whole lot lately and are pretty decent at that. Like, what would happen what if exclusivity weren't a thing anymore? How do you think that would affect the industry?
That is a terrifying prospect in a lot of ways.
It is.
Because, at that point, Nintendo doesn't compete with those companies. Like,
they don't.
And literally, not that, like, oh, it's not even a competition. No, as in, like, Nintendo has a different audience.
Right.
Like, it's sure they do meet in the middle. It's
like two different events in track and field. Like, yeah, they're in the same realm.
Yeah.
They're both called track and field, but the shot put is not the 400-yard dash, Like, they're
I'd say it's more of a Venn diagram where you got two circles and they overlap in the middle, but one circle goes all the way to the left and one circle goes all the way to the right. Yeah, they overlap in the middle a little bit.
Okay, let's go with that. But is Nintendo to the left or to the right? We're making our video games political now.
Then they would be the left. They'd absolutely be the all-inclusive.
Really?
Yeah. And then the exclusivity. We're talking about exclusivity here.
That's true.
Anyway.
But Nintendo's pretty overbearing and not fascist.
Fat?
I was going to say fascist, but that's not really it, but maybe.
And fat?
Authoritarian.
Reggie, you could get on a treadmill every little once in a while.
Looking at you, Wario. No, okay, let's get away from that.
Yes, we got to leave right now.
Don't bring that up.
We never said that. Okay,
never happened.
But to me, that would be really dangerous for the same ways like ISPs. Internet service providers right now, what they have done is they have all come together and they said, look, we're all internet service providers, and so we technically compete with each other. But Cox Communications, you take the Southwest. Frontier, we'll take the Northwest.
Right.
And whatever's on the East Coast, I don't even know what's on the East Coast, but I guarantee you they have their own ISPs over there. And it's not a monopoly because Cox and Frontier and Xfinity all compete with each other. They have
their regions.
But because they have their regions, they can charge whatever they want in those regions.
Essentially.
And we don't have a choice. Do you want internet? Pay us infinity dollars.
Technically, there are choices. But when you come into practical reality, there's not a whole lot out there.
And that's exactly what would be the problem with that. And that's, again, and this is kind of why I am very tentative about eliminating exclusivity and having universal console cooperation, because if they made the Playbox 700 or whatever, what would stop them from just creating shovelware?
The audience.
People aren't going to stop buying video game systems.
Why
People
not?
aren't going to stop
Maybe
playing
not the
video
systems.
games.
But they should.
But they won't.
Okay, next week you're buying a game. All that's out there is My Little Pony, the Thor movie, Thor 3 tie-in game, and whatever. They're all garbage. You don't really want to play any of them, so you don't play any. They're now making $0 from you.
Okay, but let's pretend that 10 years from now, your old console and your old games are obsolete. You might plug them in every once in a while, and you go to the store, and all that exists are the Thor tie-in game, My Little Pony,
and find a new hobby.
And so, but people aren't just going to do that. There are people that literally make their livelihoods off of playing video games right now. Like,
that's true.
Video games are a part of culture. We are doing this podcast. You and I are speaking to each other right now because you and I started a video game Let's Play YouTube channel.
We do make our livelihood off that.
Oh, yeah.
We've made $3 in the last month, so...
Hey, we've gotten like 4 free games because of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
Captains of the industry.
people will still keep playing video games. You may not. You and I are pretty smart consumers, and we definitely like to exercise the power of purchase. Your average consumer does not. Your 13-year-old kid doesn't give a crap.
Yep, it's not their money they're spending.
And mom and dad don't even know what they're buying. They will buy that 13-year-old kid the Thor 3 tie-in.
That's true.
Because the kid loved Thor 3.
It happens already.
And they can make that shovelware for $10 million, charge you $60 for it, and mom and dad will buy it for a billion kids, and they're making all the money that they need. Meanwhile, everybody, that's all that they know, because other than Nintendo, there's no real competition. And again, Nintendo isn't that actual competition.
Yeah.
They're in a different realm.
Right.
And so if Sony and Microsoft combined and decided just to make whatever they wanted just to make money off of it, it would work.
That's true. That's true.
Now, they would never do that.
No, because they'll make more money this way.
Right.
Than they would that way.
Right.
They would be making all of the money themselves, but it would be less. So
I think your problem is that...
I have lots of them.
Yeah. I think that you are approaching this with the assumption that everybody values the art as highly as you do.
Well, I mean, if they don't, then they're obviously stupid. If you don't agree with me, you're dumb.
When the truth of the matter is, very few people value the art of video games or movies or anything the way that you and I do. That's what we hoped this podcast would be interesting for, is people receiving a perspective from two guys who very much value the art of mediums in which art is not usually seen.
It literally had to be like deemed art by the government.
Right.
Because it wasn't as obvious to some of us, to a lot of us, as it is to some of us.
And especially with companies like EA still out there. EA, I mean, sure, some of their games are very artistic, but a lot of their games...
Insert game here.
Yeah, they made...
Cricket noise.
They made...
Madden.
I'm gonna, edit in me naming an EA game that was pretty good and artistic after this, and it's gonna sound like a teleprompter type thing, yeah, they made this game. And then they made that game. So...
Yep.
But for the most part, they're going to be perfectly happy shovel-wearing Madden 2018, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just putting new skins on it and launching it because there's only one system. There's only one game, and that's the only place you're going to get that Madden game anyway, so you best just go buy it. It sucks, but it's
a
true.
Bleak landscape.
So that's why... To me, I like where we're at right now. I like that third-party games almost always come out universal. Third-party games almost always come out for both the Xbox and the PlayStation. But the Game of the Year contenders are almost always console exclusives.
That's true.
Because Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they see this game...
Well, not Microsoft.
Gears of War. You and I played Gears of War and loved Gears of War.
Was Gears of War ever a Game of the Year contender?
I believe when it first came out, I believe it was.
The first Gears of War 56 years ago?
Halo is seen as one of the greatest games ever made.
It used to be?
Yeah. My point is that
I gotcha.
These are the AAA huge money games because an exclusive company got behind it, threw all of their money at it.
Right.
So, see, this is why I like what Unties is doing. This is a very tiny side Sony or owned, label. And they're just like, sure, guys, you do your thing.
Just, you go have fun.
In fact, nobody would even know that Unties is Sony owned if we hadn't read this article.
Right.
We would just know developed by Unties, released for a few systems. Cool. So I like this. I like them experimenting. I like them... I mean, since they're also development companies, I guess you wouldn't call them indie. Or not development, they're also production companies.
Yeah, it's not,
wouldn't call
not
them
an indie
company. Touche, but
no.
It's indie-esque. And it's indie-like. And I like that. Sure. Let's make experiments universal.
I
like
suppose.
that.
But it really, again, comes down to the consumer. We have to buy Tiny Metal now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. We do.
Because if they don't make money off of it, then they're like,
not doing this anymore.
That wasn't worth it.
And this is literally things that Fox and I will do. Again, we talk to you guys a lot about purchasing power. I think I can speak for both he and I when we like this idea. I think it's really cool. We may never play it, but we'll probably go buy it. Just so that they have our...
I have to live up to my own standards now, and it's the worst.
Just so that they know that we financially supported them. Not us in particular, but people. Two sales. They look at it way back.
Hey, if that's true, they'll find us. You guys were the only ones. Why? Not even we bought it.
So, it's tough, and I can tell that I have disappointed you. Like,
I can dejected.
I can see the disappointment of the human race on your face. So let me ask you this. What about online stuff? What is your opinion of cross-platform cooperation for, like, online gaming? The exact same game, but now you can play the, like, Xbox and Steam have some shared stuff.
Right, there's a few. I actually literally have a list open right here.
Sure.
There's actually even between, like, PS4 and...
Xbox One?
Well, now I look at it, not a whole lot of that, actually.
Right.
Xbox is on this list at the by far the least.
Really?
And
I'm surprised at that. I thought considering
between
also
Xbox
computers,
and W10, like Windows 10, yeah, the only Xbox One, like cross-platform, are with Windows 10, not even Steam.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Because Steam is not
I
a
thought
Microsoft.
PUBG,
Steam is owned by Valve. Hold on, let me look at. I didn't get down to that part. Nope. Okay, it's not even on here.
Not on there yet?
Well, okay.
So that's an older list. But Fox is looking at a console and PC cross-platform cooperation.
Yeah, just a list of the systems
gamings
that work together.
And he's...
I think it's great, but it seems to me like a very strategic... Like, now that everybody who's going to buy a system already has a system, now let's start this. It's been a couple of years since the Xbox One and the PS4 have come out.
Right.
Now we can do this because it's going to hurt. Well, I mean, I guess it's not really going to hurt your console sales if pretty much all of them are only cross with Steam or Windows 10 because, you know, if you're buying a PC, then you don't even care about the console race. So, like, the lesser console race.
Right.
And, I mean, it's good. I understand why they wouldn't want to do it. Why we want you just to play with other people, because if you're playing online with only PS4 people, that means more people are buying PS4 Plus.
Right.
We want that to happen. If you can play with Xbox people, that means more people are spending money on Xbox things.
Right.
So it's essentially in the same realm of we want your money so you can only play with people who are playing our system. But on my end, video games are a very multiplayer, very community-based thing.
Yeah, Fox and I are going to be playing Cuphead soon.
Right.
And because we had the last game we played was single player, and we're like, man, we want to get back to multiplayer.
Right.
We really love playing together.
So we're going to play some Cuphead together.
Yeah.
One of the best parts about video games as an artistic medium is that not only you can experience a movie together, but you can't interact with it as a community together. Like you can, like the great thing about video games is that you interact with the art at the same time.
Right.
Being able to do that at the same time. So playing Journey together or something like that, which you can do multiplayer wise, like that just enhances the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so I am for all games being cross-platform multiplayer, of course, because
right.
I'm just a consumer and I have no skin in the game as far as PlayStation stock, you know, how much money they're making. And I think that all people who are in that realm of just being in the audience, being the consumer, paying the money should be that way. We should never want exclusives as far as what, you know, just because we have a PS4, I don't want people that don't have a PS4 to not be able to play it.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the industry side, and it pains me to say it because it's just becoming an industry more and more every day.
I'm teaching you, Fox.
No, you're not teaching. You're destroying.
I'm destroying.
You're destroying my soul.
The hipster artist inside
my
of you.
hopefulness. my hopeful look on humanity.
I mean, I worked at a GameStop for a long, long
your
time.
Your soul was gone
my
way
soul
long
is
time ago.
already ruined.
Surprised you don't ask me if I want to just like.
Yeah, do you want to reserve?
Do I need a pre-order?
Do you want to get a reservation of the Playbox 700? That doesn't exist.
I do.
Reserve it, or else.
I really do. It comes with a magazine.
See,
Fine.
to me, this one is one that I actually am 100% against them being exclusive. Because this no longer, they can't be like, let's just go with PUBG, sure, whatever. They can't be like, oh, PUBG, I want to make the best PUBG possible so people will buy my console. No, PUBG is already made, you didn't make it, and they already either own your console or not. There's literally no reason for you to not make it cross-platform online gaming other than you want people to buy your system. This is a 100% selfish thing. There's nothing in it that will produce better art, better gaming, nothing that will come better from this. Because, and I know very personally people who have done precisely this. They bought a PlayStation. All of their friends bought an Xbox One. A year later, they sold their PlayStation, bought an Xbox One so they could game with their friends.
Yep.
Games that came out on the PlayStation, but they couldn't play with their friends. I know people personally who've done exactly that, or vice versa. Bought an Xbox One, all their friends bought a PS4, had to sell the Xbox One and bought a PS4 so they could play online with their friends. Their personal purchasing desire had nothing to do with the art that was built behind it, the dedication that was there. It was that they were not allowed to play with their friends because reasons. Because money.
Because money.
And to me, that's 100% selfish thing. I understand that exclusivity competition breeds better art. It really does.
It has the potential to.
I mean, I don't think we would have gotten the great innovations from Tesla and Edison if they were not competing with each other. If Tesla and Edison did not compete with each other, I don't think that they would have created the incredible things that they did.
Except Edison was a douchebag.
He was a huge time douchebag.
I
mean, that's true, but let's not, like, Tesla wasn't the nicest guy on the planet.
He was David Bowie, okay?
He was David Bowie.
Man.
That's true. Yeah, FYI, there's a lot of, like, Tesla apologists out there. Tesla was great. He's super cool. Direct current, A+. But, like, he wasn't an angel. He didn't murder an elephant named Topsy. But
I mean, who hasn't?
Well, mine wasn't named Topsy.
Yeah, well,
none of the three of them.
Mine was.
Oh, okay.
All of them.
So yeah, but as far as like cross-platform online gaming goes, stop it, guys. Stop being exclusive and just allow the cross-platform gaming. Let me play online. Let me play Destiny with my buddies online. Let me play PUBG with my buddies online because there's no reason not to other than you're being greedy.
Right. I think the bottom line is, would cross-platform play have people think better or worse of your game?
Yeah, absolutely. Better. Always
and your
better.
system at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, if I have a PlayStation and all my friends have an Xbox, my options are sell my PlayStation and buy an Xbox or not buy your game.
Yeah.
Now, maybe 1% will sell and rebuy a console, but I would guess the vast majority are just going to not buy your game.
I guess I'll play something else.
Yep. Well, that sucks. I won't buy your game anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, stop it. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hey, let us know what you think about cross-platform cooperation. If you disagree with me, if you agree more with Fox, or if you disagree with Fox, you agree more with me. Maybe you're all the way on one side, you think it should be universal. Maybe you're all the way on the other, and you think it should be back in the old Nintendo, Sega days where games were exclusively made for one console and nothing else.
Your Final Fantasy argument is compelling.
Yeah.
Because they... man, yeah.
So, yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Hey, what always helps us is if you guys share this. We do not pay to promote this.
Nope.
We do not do any sort of like advertising or anything. It's 100% by you guys, our fans, that this is shared. So, if you want to share this with your friends and say, hey, I was surprised to figure out this stuff about Sony and Unties and whatever else, share it. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you later. Remember, saved games, save lives.
See you later.